British police drive into the embassy and arrest Julian. This is one example of many, many acts of persecution, deliberate torture, Julian. I mean, I felt there was danger. I'm all right. I'm here with you. With a concern for us, Julian's family and friends, is that Julian's not here with us. Many, many millions of people have benefited immensely from the publications of WikiLeaks and Julian. If you just want to take one example, is the collateral murder. So when the helicopter pilots and the gunner murder these people, this is a war crime. And yet Julian has to be extradited for reporting a war crime.
Si Assange est extradé vers les États-Unis, alors ça fera peser un poids sur le journalisme d'investigation en général.
Para mí está en juego la libertad de prensa, la libertad de acceso a la información, de hacer un periodismo independiente, veraz, sin limitaciones. Esto incomoda mucho al poder.
It's a vindictive persecution, which is an attack on press freedom worldwide, and it should be fought by all means.
The story of WikiLeaks begins in the middle of the war in Iraq. A handful of hackers and a few journalists. They quickly made the US military's worst nightmare a reality by revealing a classified video to the world.
When I first saw it, actually it didn't have that much impact on me. Because I didn't know where it was, when it was, what was the circumstances, who were these people, etc. It was only by following the path through the thing and seeing how relaxed and sort of innocent most of the people were in the video that the carnage then became so outrageous.
The video is complex. To better decipher it, the founder of WikiLeaks and his team moved to Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. They rent a discreet house they call the Bunker. It's July 2007. An Apache helicopter flies over a neighborhood in Baghdad. The onboard camera spots a group of Iraqis on the ground. Two of them are carrying weapons. The pilot, in radio contact with his base, requests permission to fire.
Hotel 26, Crazy Horse 18, have 5 to 6 individuals with AK-47s. Request permission to engage.
Once I started discovering more and more detail, this is when it became more emotional. So to understand that, yes, this person was a journalist from Reuters, and this was a driver from Reuters.
Among the victims, WikiLeaks identifies Saeed Shama, a Reuters assistant driver, and photographer Namir Noor Eldin.
The helicopter pilot obviously sees Namir and Saeed as insurgent, and instantly decides that the cameras are weapons.
All right, we got a guy with an RPG.
But this is a death sentence, basically, for those guys.
A few minutes later, the nature of the incident changes. The mission becomes a war crime. a black van approaches to assist the wounded. Inside there are no combatants, just two men with two children. The pilot makes up an imminent threat and requests permission to fire again.
Bushmaster 7, roger. This is Bushmaster 7, roger, engage. Come on. Clear. Clear. Coming around, clear. Roger. Trying to, Oh yeah, look at that, right through the windshield.
On the ground, corpses everywhere. The helicopter then captures on film the arrival of a group of soldiers. Among them, Ethan McCord.
This is me here. I was one of about 6 who were dismounted at the time, running up onto the scene. I had never seen anything like that before. I saw on the corner what appeared to have been 3 men. They were completely destroyed by the 30mm rounds. It almost, to me, didn't seem real. It kind of seemed like something that you would see out of a bad horror movie.
The soldier realizes the severity of the incident as he approaches the van. He locates 2 wounded people, a 4-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy.
I originally thought that the boy was deceased because he had a wound to the right side of his head and he wasn't moving. And when I went back out to the van, he made like a labored breath movement. And that's when I started screaming that the boy's alive, the boy's alive. And I grabbed him, started running him to the Bradley, which is now. At this point, he looks up at me, and I look down at him, and I told him, it's going to be okay. I have you, don't worry. It's going to be okay. And his eyes rolled back into his head, and at that point, I thought that he possibly had just died in my arms. After this day, I couldn't justify what I was doing in Iraq anymore. I became very angry with the war, the death and destruction of innocent people. That's not what I joined the military for.
On April the 5th, 2010, WikiLeaks publishes the video online. The public discovers the true horror of this war. In Baghdad, the families of the victims learn of what happened. The man driving the van died, but the boy, saved by Ethan McCord, survived.
جينا من بيت عمو رحنا البيت. من المدرسة.
أنتوا إلمن كنتوا تحاولوا تساعدوا؟
الجرحى. نشيلهم.
ها؟
نشيلهم.
يعني أنتوا ليش رحتوا بذاك الموقع؟ احكي لنا شوية، طول لي بالكلام حبيبي.
Well, good afternoon to you. I am Dylan Radigan. Some breaking news this afternoon. A shocking graphic video from Iraq apparently showing U.S. troops gunning down innocent civilians.
I had just got done dropping my kids off at school back in April 2010. I went home, grabbed a cup of coffee, sat down on the couch, and turned on the news. And there I was running across the screen of my own television, carrying a child. I knew immediately what it was, and it actually felt like a huge slap in the face. I had spent so much time trying to forget that incident, and then here it was being pushed in my face again.
Ethan McCord was demobilized in 2010. Since then, he has been an anti-war activist.
The collateral murder release was very important. The video is iconic, it's symbolic. It was a stunning testimony of a war crime, there was no question about it. and people saw for their own eyes what the war entailed.
WikiLeaks n'est sans doute pas au-dessus de toute critique, mais WikiLeaks a révolutionné l'accès à l'information. Et WikiLeaks a permis la révélation de crimes de guerre perpétrés par l'armée américaine, qui sans doute n'auraient pas été révélés sans WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks explodes on international media. Many people are now interested in these faces. Julian Assange and one of the founders of the project.
WikiLeaks is financed by contributions from private people, $200,000 for operational costs. It was built in a way that whistleblowers remain anonymous to the project itself. So whenever something was received, it was not clear where it came from. So the whistleblower should feel secure in a way that if he feels something should be out in the public, there is not an instance that is then judging about his feelings.
WikiLeaks grants total anonymity to all its sources. Just 1 month after the video was broadcast, the US Army arrested a young soldier not far from Baghdad. His name, Bradley Manning. He spends his days filing military documents and is suspected of having leaked the video.
Bradley Manning is a young 22-year-old Army intelligence specialist, only a couple of years in the Army. He felt that there were operations going on. He felt that there had been civilian deaths and other things about war that the American people and that the world should know about. The question is, how was he able to download all this information without drawing suspicion to himself? So in fact, he told people, apparently, that when he was actually downloading some of this sensitive information onto a CD, he was actually listening to Lady Gaga. I mean, it wasn't true at all, but that's what he told people. And they said, oh, okay, that's fine. Now we understand why he's spending so much time, why it's taking so long for him to do whatever he's doing.
With high levels of clearance, Bradley Manning downloads millions of confidential documents, military reports, diplomatic cables, strategy memos about Iraq and also Afghanistan. Bradley Manning first offers his documents to the Washington Post and the New York Times, who don't respond. Then he contacted WikiLeaks. Alone, the soldier is in a vulnerable position. He chats with Adrian Lamo, a young hacker, telling him everything. Unfazed by the circumstances, Adrian Lamo reports Bradley Manning to the FBI. A move he explains during a meeting with other hackers.
What I was doing at that time is what I do believe Private First Class Manning was doing, which is acting one's conscience. In that case, I felt compelled. Compelled, I don't believe, is too strong a word.
Bradley Manning is supported by some activists. However, it's little compared to the firepower of conservative commentators.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. There are traitors in America. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Whoever leaked all those State Department documents to the WikiLeaks website is a traitor and should be executed or put in prison for life.
whoever in our government leaked that information is guilty of treason. And I think anything less than execution is too kind a penalty.
Bradley Manning is incarcerated in a high-security military prison. During his trial, the soldier admits to leaking documents to alert the public. He is convicted of espionage and theft.
"35 years behind bars. That is the sentence for this man, Bradley Manning, the U.S. soldier convicted of the biggest breach of classified data.
The fate of Bradley Manning does not prevent WikiLeaks from continuing its affairs. The site is now associated with international press, including The Guardian. In the property of the news giant, a headquarters is set up to analyse over 90,000 documents, this time about Afghanistan.
We set up a secret office on the 4th floor of this building that nobody else was allowed in. And we had this kind of little international bunker, or war room.
And essentially what we found were there were some 92,000 documents. These are incident logs, war reports in Afghanistan and to some parts along the Afghan-Pakistan border.
And we did a lot of work on going through these logs, trying to decode them. A lot of them were written in an almost impenetrable military jargon, full of abbreviations and acronyms.
One of the main findings that we came up with these documents was that the Pakistani Military and Intelligence Service, the ISI, very closely supports some of the Taliban and other insurgent activities in Afghanistan as a way of keeping the coalition forces off balance.
Whistleblowing website WikiLeaks does it again. Last time it was Iraq, this time it's Afghanistan.
The discoveries make the front page of the New York Times, Der Spiegel, and of course The Guardian, by doing so validating the work of WikiLeaks.
This is The Guardian from this morning, 14 pages about this topic. Also concurrently in Der Spiegel, 17 pages. The real story of this material is that it's war. It's one damn thing after another. Yeah.
Washington is inevitably furious.
The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information.
In the documents published by WikiLeaks, there are some names of American Army collaborators that appear. In Afghanistan or Iraq, the military uses translators. In the eyes of the insurgents, these men are traitors. Disclosing their identity puts their lives at risk.
Good afternoon.
At the Pentagon, WikiLeaks is denounced as a criminal organization.
The battlefield consequences of the release of these documents are potentially severe and dangerous.
Mr. Assange can say whatever he likes about the greater good he thinks he and his source are doing, but the truth is they might already have on their hands the blood of some young soldier or that of an Afghan family.
It was, of course, unfortunate that some names were actually published there. But it has been overplayed quite a bit with very dramatic and ridiculous words from Pentagon that WikiLeaks might have blood on its hand. And that coming from, organization which have, quite a bit of blood on its hands is almost hypocritical. And as of now, there have been no reported incidents of anyone that has been hurt by this information.
What can you expect at the end of the day with all this material?
Well, I hope it creates disincentives for engaging in immoral conduct in war. So disincentives for engaging in war crimes in Iraq, in other places. It gives the victims of war in Iraq a sense of justice. a better understanding of how war goes and how war goes wrong. Possibly the most valuable thing to come out of it.
WikiLeaks is releasing one story after another. Afghanistan, Iraq. The media world is asking the same question. Who is this enigmatic Julian Assange? The founder of WikiLeaks covers the front pages of magazines. Julian Assange taking the world by storm, which has proven to irritate his colleagues.
Julian's approach was to just rush things and to blast out those few big leaks.
And concentrate only on those leaks.
Yes, because they're what gives you most popularity, you know, and that's not the approach. I'm not into being popular. It was a right approach if you want to build a personality, if you want to become, I don't know, Time Magazine Man of the Year or something like this, but it's not the right approach in respect to the ideals of this organization.
For Assange's colleague, it's a betrayal of WikiLeaks' ideals. The two men clash, through online conversation, of course.
He suspended me for being disloyal and insubordinate and stuff like this. So this is some kind of weird military terminology that he uses himself to deal with people he is working with.
You felt betrayed?
Yes, because I did not betray him, and I did never ever betray WikiLeaks.
Daniel Domscheit-Berg leaves WikiLeaks in 2010. Criticized by his friends, Julian Assange is hated by his enemies, who sometimes call for his execution publicly.
The dead man can't leak stuff. This guy's a traitor, a treasonous, and illegally shoot the son of a.
Well, I think Assange should be assassinated, actually. I think Obama should put out a contract and maybe use a drone or something.
It's 120 people headed up by a general who do nothing else but target us. Defense Intelligence Agency and FBI, internally called the WikiLeaks War Room. In the United States at the moment there is an attempt to get up an espionage prosecution against me and other people. The United States intelligence community plus military is maybe 1.5 million people, so 120 is actually not so bad.
Perhaps a bit overconfident of Julian Assange. Since 2010, the American authorities are in fact seeking to arrest him, and an opportunity presents itself in Sweden. In the summer of 2010, two young women accused Julian Assange of having consensual but unprotected sex. The press takes the case and speaks of a suspicion of rape. The judge opens an investigation. Without proof, the proceedings are first cancelled, but it is surprisingly revived. Julian Assange accuses WikiLeaks of political manoeuvring.
It appears to be highly irregular and some kind of legal circus. It was clearly a smear campaign, and that who is behind this, we do not know.
Behind closed doors, however, Julian Assange speaks of a destabilization operation aimed at his extradition to the United States.
Plus on s'intéresse au dossier, plus on regarde ce qui s'est vraiment passé, et notamment en Suède, où il a été accusé de viol, plus on prend conscience de l'ampleur de la manipulation, du fait qu'il y a vraiment une entreprise des services de renseignement visant à favoriser une extradition vers les États-Unis. Et par ailleurs, on a fait de lui un portrait maléfique qui est aussi une construction des services de renseignement.
British police have arrested the founder of the WikiLeaks website, Julian Assange.
The WikiLeaks founder has been arrested by British police over sexual assault claims in Sweden.
In December 2010, British police issue a Swedish arrest warrant. Imprisoned in London for a week, Julian Assange denies all accusations of rape. For a year and a half, he does everything in his power to not be handed over to Sweden, which is, according to him, the first step of his extradition to the United States.
When all legal remedies were exhausted, Julian sought refuge in the Ecuadorian Embassy, and they decided that he had a reasonable fear of extradition to the United States and granted him safe haven in the Ecuadorian Embassy.
The Assange case mobilized the most acclaimed lawyers in the world, among them a historical figure of Spanish justice, former magistrate Baltasar Garzón. He coordinates, free of charge, the defense of the WikiLeaks founder.
¿Por qué elige la Embajada de Ecuador? Porque el gobierno ecuatoriano en ese momento, presidido por Rafael Correa, gobierno popular, claramente decantado contra las políticas expansionistas en el ámbito tanto judicial como económico de Estados Unidos, era uno de los países latinoamericanos que podían oponerse firmemente a Estados Unidos sin miedo.
In June 2012, Julian Assange became the world's most protected political refugee, barricaded in this Victorian house in central London.
I ask President Obama to do the right thing. The United States must renounce its witch hunt against WikiLeaks.
What appeared to be temporary will continue on for 7 long years. Julian Assange receives many visitors, lawyers, ministers, journalists, always in the confines of 4 walls.
Ça, c'est une photo qui a été prise dans une salle dont Julian Assange avait la jouissance le soir. Et moi, je me souviens avoir dîné dans cette salle, sur ces fauteuils, avec lui. Qui dit ambassade laisse à penser hôtel particulier. En réalité, l'ambassade d'Équateur à Londres, c'est quelque chose qui est très modeste. C'était étroit, c'était certes plus grand qu'une cellule de prison, mais il était en prison. Sa pièce, celle dans laquelle il vivait, est une pièce opaque. Des cartons avaient été posés sur les fenêtres. On ne voyait rien de l'extérieur.
Es decir, ha pasado años sin ver el sol, sin posibilidad de salir. Eso suponía una tensión psicológica importantísima.
Sa vie, c'était quand même... elle ressemblait beaucoup à celle d'un détenu sans cours de promenade.
Mi trato con Julian Assange era muy habitual, prácticamente 2 veces al mes. Era una verdadera obsesión la que Julian tenía con que lo estaban espiando, grabando a él, a todos, hasta el punto de que los abogados decíamos, bueno, no será tanto, ¿no?
Obsessed with his safety, locked inside, Julian Assange and his team keep on working. In 2015, new discoveries make the front page of French papers.
Chirac, Sarkozy et Hollande écoutés par les États-Unis. On va bien sûr revenir dès le début du journal sur les dernières révélations de WikiLeaks.
Pendant au moins 6 ans, entre 2006 et 2012, 3 présidents français auraient été placés sur écoute par la NSA, les services de renseignement américains.
In the United States, they are militarily occupying what we had previously thought of as a civilian space. The essential ingredients of a new transnational totalitarian dystopia have been built. The engine and the wheels and the chassis have been built. And the key is in the ignition, and it's just a matter now of turning this on. And actually it has been turned on for some people. WikiLeaks is an example of it spreading even to a media organization.
Julian Assange's obsession, the extreme power of America. The 2016 presidential campaign will give him the opportunity to play a leading role once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
America can't succeed unless you succeed. That is why I am running for President of the United States.
Clinton versus Trump. Their campaigns promise to be brutal. Opposed to Hillary Clinton since 2010, WikiLeaks has chosen its side. An internal message sent by Julian Assange himself, leaving no doubt about his opinion.
What we are drawing attention to is the amazing transformation of Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party into being the national security party and the national security candidate. In the American liberal press, in falling over themselves to defend Hillary Clinton, are erecting a demon that is going to put nooses around everyone's necks as soon as she wins the election, which he is almost certainly going to do.
From spring 2016, tens of thousands of emails from Hillary Clinton and her collaborators were published online. But the most sensitive documents don't come from WikiLeaks.
Hillary Clinton may have violated federal record-keeping rules.
They are revealed by a so-called Gussifer 2.0. When Gussifer appears on the web, WikiLeaks partners with the mysterious source to get more information. On June the 22nd, 2016, WikiLeaks sends him this private message on Twitter. New message, the 6th of July. US investigators claim to have traced the trail of the hackers. Behind this fictitious character, allegedly the Russian Secret Service. Could WikiLeaks be complicit in an attempt to destabilize the situation?
It is a wrongful depiction. Julian has stated that the source of the information was neither Russian nor a state entity. Where the material came from doesn't change the fact of the material. I mean, you get information and you analyze the information and you decide to publish if it's newsworthy. That is the core of journalistic practice. So saying that WikiLeaks or Julian is some friend of Russian interests or follows Russian interests is absurd. It doesn't hold up any scrutiny.
There is one, however, who revels in the news about Hillary Clinton.
I'll tell you, this WikiLeaks stuff is unbelievable. WikiLeaks, that came out on WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
Destabilized, the Democratic candidate retorts as best she can in a debate with Donald Trump.
The Kremlin, meaning Putin and the Russian government, are directing the attacks, the hacking on American accounts to influence our election. And WikiLeaks is part of that, as are other sites.
In November 2016, Donald Trump was elected President of the United States.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
President Trump did not remain pro-WikiLeaks for too long. In 2017, the site publishes new findings from the CIA. And consequently, his administration's attitude towards WikiLeaks changes dramatically.
We at SAFE find the celebration of entities like WikiLeaks to be both perplexing and deeply troubling. Because while we do our best to quietly collect information on those who pose very real threats to our country, individuals such as Julian Assange seek to use that information to make a name for themselves. It's time to call out WikiLeaks for what it really is: a non-state hostile intelligence service often abetted by state actors like Russia.
In France, suspicions have raised that WikiLeaks might have joined forces with Russia to destabilize the French presidential elections.
Je souhaite devenir votre président, le président de tout le peuple de France, un président qui protège, qui transforme et qui construit face à la menace des nationalistes. Mes chers compatriotes,
The end of Emmanuel Macron's campaign at headquarters. Hands are full, preparing for the second round of the presidential election. But a rumour is out. The inboxes of certain En Marche collaborators have been hacked. It's May the 5th, 2017, 7:30 p.m.
Vers la fin de journée, il commence à y avoir des rumeurs sur Twitter. On dit qu'il y a des choses qui vont sortir. Puis il y a des premiers éléments dont on parle. Et il y a un moment, je vois le lien de téléchargement qui est partagé. Donc je le télécharge immédiatement. J'ouvre et je vois que ce sont véritablement les emails de plusieurs personnes de la campagne.
Plusieurs milliers de documents d'emails du mouvement En Marche ont été piratés, massivement diffusés sur Internet et les réseaux sociaux à moins de 48 heures du second tour de la présidentielle.
The emails are posted on a website called 4chan by an unknown source. 1.5 hours later, WikiLeaks publishes this tweet referring to the documents. This message makes Macron Leaks the front page of the international press.
March movement has been the victim of a massive and coordinated hack
of emails, photos. Emmanuel Macron now surfacing everywhere online. It comes just hours before.
Thousands of emails, but most with little or no information of interest, and sometimes even fake documents.
Il s'agit bien évidemment d'une campagne de déstabilisation. WikiLeaks est utile quand il sert à révéler des informations que l'on veut cacher et qui permettent à la démocratie de mieux exister, de mieux fonctionner. Quand on diffuse les informations et les correspondances personnelles, amicales, amoureuses d'une personne, avec un moteur de recherche disponible, on n'est plus du tout dans la mission originelle de démocratie. Cette atteinte à la vie privée de celui qui retrouve 10 ans de ses emails publiés, celle-là, elle est impardonnable. Là, WikiLeaks n'était pas dans son rôle.
No evidence was ever found about WikiLeaks' involvement in this operation. They did not publish anything before Election Day, and the French police found nothing on WikiLeaks, nor formally identified the hacker. But Russian hackers are heavily suspected. As of now, Julian Assange has been living locked up for 5 years.
A rare look inside the Ecuadorian Embassy in London.
A private security firm that allegedly spied on Assange during his asylum in the Ecuadorian Embassy in London.
In surveillance video obtained by Spanish newspaper El País, he's seen in shorts and a tank top, skateboarding.
El espionaje a Assange empieza en diciembre del 2017. El jefe de esta pequeña empresa de seguridad española pide el cambio de las cámaras, que solo eran antes de vídeo, pide unas cámaras nuevas con audio, ordena que se coloquen micrófonos en los extintores de incendios de la sala principal en la que Assange recibe a sus visitas, ordena también que se coloquen micrófonos en el baño de señoras.
Como Julian no se fiaba de nada, incluso algunas conversaciones con los abogados defensores se producían en el lavabo, pues bueno, incluso allí fueron a colocar un micro. Inicialmente no era un objetivo monitorizar a Julian Assange, sino proteger a Julian Assange y proteger la embajada porque estaba siendo objeto de vigilancia externa. Hay un cambio esencial que es cuando Rafael Correa deja de ser presidente de Ecuador e ingresa Lenin Moreno, que todos creíamos que iba a ser una continuidad, y cuando obtuvo el poder se manifestó claramente que era contrario al mismo. Necesariamente tiene que ver con las presiones de Estados Unidos.
¡Presente!
Y ahí comienza lo que finalmente se ha descubierto, que es una acción invasiva a todos los niveles, tanto respecto de Julian, de su ámbito más íntimo y de todos los que le visitan, y especialmente de los abogados de la defensa, que pasan a ser objetivo también para saber qué hacen, qué hacemos, qué opinamos, cuál es la estrategia. Estaban monitorizando todo.
Julian Assange is monitored 24 hours a day. On the job, a small Spanish security company, UC Global. His movements, his conversations, everything is recorded, everything is noted and reported minute by minute. Here, the meeting between the client, Julian Assange, and his lawyers, including Baltasar Garzón. 11:20 a.m. The client, his wife Stella, and his attorney head to the ladies' bathroom for a meeting. Here's the man who manages UC Global, David Morales, a former Marine commander of the Spanish Army.
David Morales es el cerebro absoluto y el propietario de esta pequeña compañía, y el objetivo, según dice Morales a sus trabajadores en decenas de emails que hemos publicado, que tenemos en nuestras manos, les dice que el objetivo es facilitar información a sus amigos americanos, les dice que él ha pasado el lado oscuro, les dice que está trabajando para servicios de inteligencia extranjeros. Podemos decir que Morales vendía a los servicios de inteligencia norteamericanos, no sabemos a cuál exactamente ni a quién exactamente, esa información. Todavía no hay evidencia periodística ni judicial, pero las sospechas son realmente muy potentes, son muy rotundas.
Para mí, para nosotros, esta acción de los Estados Unidos, de los servicios de inteligencia, y está perfectamente claro, es impensable que en una situación de asilo el Estado hospitalario le entregue datos, información al agente de persecución, que es Estados Unidos. Eso es absolutamente irregular, claramente delictiva.
Thanks to the information provided by intelligence services. The United States now knows details on Julian Assange's defense strategy to avoid his extradition. In 2018, the founder of WikiLeaks is officially accused of espionage. American pressure on Ecuador is increasing. Julian Assange becomes a priority target. On April the 11th, 2019, Ecuadorian President Lenín Moreno appeared on national television.
Buenos días. Ecuador es un país generoso y de brazos abiertos. Hoy anuncio que la conducta irrespetuosa y agresiva del señor Julian Assange han llevado la situación a un punto en que el asilo del señor Assange es insostenible e inviable. Ecuador, soberanamente, da por finalizado el asilo diplomático otorgado al señor Assange en el año 2012.
El gobierno de todos.
The same day, the police arrest Julian Assange within the compound of the Ecuadorian Embassy. The United States immediately calls for his extradition.
Después de su extracción de la embajada, fue en una prisión de alta seguridad de Belmarsh, en unas condiciones de aislamiento absoluto. Llegamos a temer por su equilibrio mental. Yo lo he visto en la prisión de Belmarsh en unas situaciones muy malas, terribles, con una desorientación de una persona que está encerrada en soledad 23 horas y solo se le permitía 1 hora para salir a un patio solo y sin posibilidad de comunicación alguna. Se pretextaba que por su propia seguridad.
In February 2020, the British judicial system got involved for the first time in Julian Assange's extradition request. His supporters gathered, and his father was of course present.
Good morning. Did you have a chance to speak to Julian last night? No, we didn't have a chance, but I'll come out and say something. We'll just register to get in first, and then I'll come out. Okay. Is that cool with you?
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. In the pen. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Exceptionally, the hearings take place inside the prison.
Ce qui était très impressionnant dans cette salle d'audience, c'était le fait que lui était tout au bout de la salle d'audience, derrière une vitre, traité comme un terroriste extrêmement dangereux et très loin finalement du cœur des débats, comme si même lui ne pouvait pas vraiment participer. On voyait un homme face à une mécanique judiciaire qui évidemment le dépasse beaucoup.
Bueno, ese ambiente era tenso, expectante, de apoyo absolutamente a Julian Assange y esperar a verlo y ver cómo estaba, y la verdad es que su entereza es impresionante.
Je me souviens de ce procureur qui évoque toutes les personnes mises en danger par Assange, mais qui n'est pas capable d'en citer une, qui n'est pas capable de citer un cas. Et donc, il y a contre Assange une inflation des charges qui finit par être sans commune mesure ou sans rapport avec la réalité.
Among Julian Assange's unwavering supporters is Bradley Manning, now Chelsea Manning.
All right, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. So 2 months ago, the federal government...
The former soldier spent a total of 7 years behind bars. Released, incarcerated, then released again, the justice system hopes to force her to testify.
Facing jail again, potentially today, doesn't change my stance. The prosecutors are deliberately placing me in an impossible position. Go to jail, or, in the alternative, forgoing my principles, the strong positions that I have, that I hold dear. So it doesn't matter what it is or what the case is, I'm just not going to comply or cooperate. I think that's it. All right. Thank you, everybody.
These statements will get Chelsea Manning once again several months in jail. Her determination does not pacify the Assange case. If extradited to the United States, the founder of WikiLeaks risks 175 years in prison. 175 years for publishing information of public interest.
There is only one journalist that is detained and held in prison for doing his job as a journalist in Western Europe, and that is Julian Assange.
A Assange se le pueden criticar algunas cosas sobre su personalidad, su forma de ser, pero obviamente lo que no se puede criticar es que ha hecho una aportación realmente relevante a la libertad de información.
Ce qui est visé dans la procédure, c'est cette contribution au journalisme. Et c'est ce qui fait que c'est aussi dangereux.
Breaking news out of London this morning. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange cannot be extradited to the United States.
On January the 4th, 2021, the British courts ruled that due to Assange's psychological state, he would not be extradited, a half-hearted victory for his supporters, as the United States is still not giving up.
The lawyers for the US government indicated they would appeal the decision. They should not. And there should be a call out and pressure on the US side to drop the appeal, to say enough is enough.
Julian Assange is not in the clear just yet. The WikiLeaks founder is still facing extradition to the United States.
El contenido de la extradición de Estados Unidos ha tenido posibilidad de demostrarse en el juicio de extradición que obedece firme y estrictamente a una persecución política.
Et donc, l'enjeu de l'extradition d'Assange, c'est un enjeu pour une personne, pour un individu, mais c'est un enjeu pour cette fonction sociale qu'est le journalisme, et donc pour le droit à l'information de chacun des citoyens.